Hey guys, Ryan from Husky Moving here, Arlington, Massachusetts. We serve the greater Boston area. We do full service commercial, residential moves. We do disposal. We do picture mounting, artwork mounting. We do TV mounting. We do odd jobs like handyman jobs. What else do we do? Anything else? If it involves the home, we try to do it. Had a couple of hours in between jobs today. I had one this morning, had a disposal job, had to finish up, and then tonight I have a pack job, but it's not until 5:30. So I figured I'd do a quick video while I had some time. Notice the new studio we're in. And by new studio, I mean a vinyl backdrop. First video using that, so hopefully it looks okay. I got a list with me. The idea of today's video is there was a list that I saw on Instagram that a moving company posted about fraudulent movers, and I actually thought it was a good thing to go over real quick while I had some time, because 2 days ago on Mother's Day, I got a frantic message in the morning from someone whose moving company didn't show up. They had booked a move, didn't show up, and I was the first one they called to try and get someone over there ASAP. Already had plans with mom, so that didn't happen. But that situation, and then when this list came up on my Instagram feed today, figured it would be a good idea for a video. So I'm going to go through some of this information I'm going to give you. Hopefully will help you as a consumer. And if you're a moving company or someone starting a moving company or someone who just does it on the side, on like task drive or something, some of this information might be helpful to you too. So I'm just going to go through this list and give you my thoughts on some of the things that they wrote. Just my opinion, doesn't make it fact. All right, so the first one they say, there's a list, there's 10 of them, by the way. So I'm going to keep looking at this thing. So I had to print it out because I wanted to make sure that I could actually pay attention to the camera. So I know this is like something an old guy would do, but here we are. Old guy making a video. So shocking. Pay with a credit card. We personally don't take credit cards. The reason I don't take them is because you can do chargebacks on credit cards. I don't like the idea of someone being able to not pay their bill in the state, not even in the state, in the moving industry. There are laws in place to protect moving companies, one of which is that you have to pay your bill in full before you can process a damage claim. And a lot of people don't want to do that. If something gets damaged, they want a repercussion. The way that they usually will try to go about that is they will say they don't want to pay their bill. I've had some instances in my life, when I was younger specifically, when people tried to take advantage, there was something that they blamed us for, that they tried to get out of paying the bill. It hasn't happened in a long time, and I think a lot of that is because I've gotten much better at vetting customers, and now that I'm on my own, I can vet customers. It used to be that I would just show up and I would have to do whatever my company told me to do, but nowadays I can book my own jobs and I can vet people pretty quickly, and I think I've gotten pretty good about vetting people. And understanding. People will tell you who they are right away. You just have to be willing to pay attention and listen, and look for the signs. They'll give you indications if they're like not an honorable or they don't have a lot of integrity. Usually people will let you know. You just have to be willing to listen, and understand that the subtext of what they're telling you. They don't understand what they're doing, but if you're an honorable person, you can pick up on their cues, and they're letting you know, hey, this is going to be a problem. Like if you're smart, you don't want to deal with me. What else do I want to say about credit cards? People can do chargebacks, which I'm not a huge fan of. It doesn't happen very often, for sure. But to me, nowadays, it's just a pain in the ass. There's no reason. You can pay by Venmo. You can pay by PayPal. There's so many easy ways to pay nowadays. I don't see the point of taking credit cards. If I'm being completely honest with you, the only benefit of doing credit cards, I think, would be that people who can't afford to move otherwise, would be able to pay for it. But if I'm being completely honest with you, in my experience in this business, if they can't pay for a move in the first place, you shouldn't be encouraging them to book a moving company first and foremost. They probably have bigger fish to fry. They can get a U-Haul and do it themselves. And if you don't have enough money in your bank to cover like a $500 bill, again, you probably have bigger fish to fry. I'm not trying to sound like a jackass, but like there's a very good chance you have more significant bills that you should be paying rather than hiring a moving company. And also, the type of people that don't have enough money in their bank account to cover a move generally are not going to be your best customers. I mean, I hate to say that, and if you're that type of person, you're watching this video, you're probably going to have a very strong reaction to that, and I understand that, but I also have a ton of experience dealing with various types of customers, and the type of people who can't afford to move are generally not going to be your best customers. I hate to say that, but facts is facts, my friends. All right, number 2, confirm licensing. Yep, if you're going in between state, you can look very easily online. You can check out a moving company, see if they are registered to go out of state. It's very simple to do. You can do DOT, the Department of Transportation. You can look up any company using their DOT number, their name, their MC number. Anyone going out of state needs an MC number. So if you are trying to go out of state and your company won't provide that and or tells you they don't have it, then you know they're not legal to do that. But you can very, very easily verify that yourself. It takes literally like 5 seconds to go on there to see if they're registered with the federal government. And you have to be. That's not an option. If you're going to be going between states, you have to be. Also, you can usually, like in the state of Massachusetts, we have to be licensed. So you can look up my... I have a number with the state, and you can look up and verify my business pretty easily. And all that also needs to be listed on the side of the truck. I don't think the MC number does, but the DOT number definitely does. And if you have that, then you can look up anything online. But you can also do it by their name. Understand terms and conditions. Read the contract and understand the ins and outs before signing. Of course, common sense. You should have a clear understanding of how the company is going to be doing your charges before the move, before you book them. Obviously, there should be very little. It should be all completely transparent. Everything that they're going to charge you, they should be upfront about. There should be nothing that you're even remotely shocked by at the end of the bill. They should have already told you, here's exactly how we charge, here's how we do travel time, whether they charge for a truck, whether they charge for gas, what they charge for supplies. That should all be written down. And the other thing I would encourage you to do, no matter what side you're on of it, make sure everything's written down. So nowadays, everything's done by text, at least I'm a very small company, so everything's done by text, but everything's written down. Very rarely will I talk to someone on the phone and then not write it down after the fact and send them a message, so that everything is written down, and God forbid anything became an issue, I would then have some sort of a pushback, or they could. More importantly, it's just as important for them too. Like if I get to a job and I charge them something I'm not supposed to be charging, it's just as important for them, obviously, that they have some sort of a recourse if I've treated them unfairly. So everything should be in writing. That goes without saying. And if you don't understand something in the contract, obviously ask. First and foremost, you should also ask to get the contract ahead of time, not the day of the move, because what invariably happens is people get a contract at 9 a.m. on a move, and they don't want to deal with it, obviously, and they're completely flustered by all the things they have to do. And so ask ahead of time for the contract. You should be able to look that over at your leisure. Anyone who balks at that, this is going to be a recurring theme throughout this video, but if you ask someone, no matter what side you're on, if you ask someone for something and they're balking at what you're asking for, and it's a complete common sense thing to ask for, you already know you don't have the right person. Nobody should be balking for any reason, assuming it's normal questions that anyone would feel free to ask. Keep an inventory of your possessions is number 4. I would personally advise you, and this is just my opinion, unless you have an unusually large amount of stuff, if you feel like you have to keep an inventory of your possessions, you probably hired the wrong company. And I'm not trying to be flippant or anything, but again, whether you're on my side of it or the customer side of it, people will tell you who they are. You can easily vet the moving company. You can look online. You can find, theoretically, hundreds upon hundreds of reviews online. You can vet the company. And so if you haven't done that, or if you're still at the point where you're like, I feel like I got to watch these guys, I feel like I got to watch my possessions, if that's your thought process before or during the move, I would encourage you respectfully to probably look at a different company, because I feel like you shouldn't feel that way. You shouldn't have to feel that way. The entire process should have put you at ease to the point where you feel like you can relax and let them handle the business. That's what they get paid to do. And if you don't feel that way, if you feel like you need to keep an eye on people because they might steal something from you, it's not good. That's not a good sign. I would encourage you to go in a different direction. And I'm saying this as a mover. Having said that, I do know a couple of companies that do full inventory lists before their moves. Personally, I think it's a waste of time, if I'm being completely honest with you. But if it makes the customer feel better, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. By my way of thinking, it would take a tremendous amount of time, which would therefore take a lot of money from the customer. And again, if we fill the truck and the truck's empty at the end of the job, I mean, everything's there. And I get calls all the time from people like, oh, I can't find this, I can't find that. And it's universally, literally 100% of the time, it's always the same story. I go, hey, did you check every room? Did you check every closet? Did you look in every cabinet? And they're like, yeah, of course, of course, of course, of course. And then 10 minutes later, I got a phone call. Oh, by the way, I found it in the closet you told me to look in. It's always the case. Every time. 100% of the time. Not 99. 100% of the time. It happened to me like a week ago. Ask questions. This is number 5. If you're confused, ask for clarification. That's life in general. If you get pushback, and this is again another recurring theme. If you get pushback for asking too many questions, it's time for a look for another company. Completely agree. People should be completely transparent. If they have a problem answering basic questions, run the other way. And I say this both as someone who's a mover and on the other side of it. If a customer is asking questions, it's my responsibility to answer the questions, and vice versa. And I have this happen to me a lot too. Is I have people who will push back when I ask what I would consider to be just basic questions. Like it happened to me literally this morning where a woman hired me to do a job. She wanted me to go fork out a lot of money to prepay for this delivery thing she wanted to do. And I asked literally one question. I said, good morning, have the items been prepaid for? Which any normal human being would want to know if they were going to be shelling out a lot of money with someone they've never met before, obviously. And that question caused her to cancel the job. So by my way of thinking, my first thought process was, oh, that sucks. I lost a job. Maybe I didn't handle that right. And then I was like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Like anyone on the planet would want to know what the payment situation was going to be if you were shelling out a lot of money for someone you've never met before. That's common sense. So if that question caused her to run the other way, that's an indicator of her problem, not my problem. And I would say that goes both ways, both with the customer and the company. If a person's asking questions and the other side is not willing to handle the questions or volley back and forth in like a respectful, considerate manner, understanding that like customers are, of course they're gonna have questions. They don't do this every day, so of course they're gonna have questions. And of course the moving company is gonna have questions too about the situation because they don't know what your situation is. They've never been to your house. So if there's any pushback on either side, run the other way. That's not the way it's supposed to be. I would say that for any kind of, I don't know, any relationship. It doesn't have to be a moving company or anything. It's just life in general. Like, you ain't got time for that shit. Number 6 is check with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. I don't really know what they would do. I find it hard to believe if you call them for some sort of information that they would be very helpful because I've actually been on the phone with them countless times and I've gotten into arguments with a couple of them because they were super unhelpful. Probably going to get audited for saying that. Number 7, don't sign a partial or blank contract. Of course, everything should always be on the contract. And if anyone encourages you to do otherwise, it's a sign that you need to run the other way. You've probably been given 50 signs before you ever got to that point that you should have ran the other way. All the numbers should be on there. All the information should be on there. Complete transparency, both for the customer and for the company. The contract is just as important for the company as it is for the customer. That's not, people always assume a contract is like a one-way thing, like it's supposed to protect one side. It's not the case whatsoever. It's to protect both sides completely. And if either side has a problem with that, then you need to run the other way. Don't automatically choose the lowest estimate. This is a huge one in our business. I can't tell you what percentage of my phone calls that come into me. Literally, the second thing they say, they're like, hey, I'm such and such. I gotta move. How much is it gonna cost? And it's like literally every time. It's like, dude, come on, man, you're killing me. I can't tell you. It's like 98% of the times. That's the road it goes down. How much is it gonna cost? All right, you want to tell me what we're doing? What do I need to do? Where you going? 2 family, 1 family? We going to Newton or we going to Tennessee? Like, what are we doing here? I'm gonna need a lot more information before we start talking costs, obviously. But that's everyone's first question. And I would, as someone who's been on both sides of it, I would respectfully encourage you to give a lot of thought to how much peace of mind is worth, how much your integrity is worth, how much honesty is worth to you, how much feeling like you know that the person is going to arrive on time and not damage your house or speak respectfully to your elderly parents or not steal from you. Like, how much is all of that worth? Is it worth a decent hourly rate? If it is, then don't balk over $10 an hour. I mean, it's foolish, just complete foolishness. The lowest estimate is really the lowest one for a reason. Not always, but generally the companies that have the most to offer charge the most because they have the highest amount of overhead. And I tell that people all the time. There are numerous companies around here that are really, really, really good at what they do in the Boston area. And they tend to be on the higher end of the spectrum, but they're not on the higher end of the spectrum because they just want to rip everyone off. They're on the higher end of the spectrum because they have a tremendous amount of things that they can provide for their customers, whether it's giant fleets of trucks, tons of men, cranes, storage facilities, box deliveries that can come out at a moment's notice. All of these things cost. And so as a customer, you can't have it both ways. You can't just have the benefits but not pay for the benefits. Obviously, those things come at a cost, and that is going to increase the cost of their overhead, which is going to increase the cost of what they need to charge hourly. As a general rule, you don't want to get into like the lowest common or the lowest, the race to the bottom on the price. It's not a good sign generally when people are at the bottom of the barrel price-wise. It usually is an indicator that at some point they're going to wind up going out of business. Most of us tend to charge right around the same amount hourly. There's not too much variation, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think there's a lot bigger fish to fry that you need to be worried about rather than like a $5 or $10 swing per hour. And if that's really your biggest concern, I have a lot of people that call me, and that is their biggest concern. Like, that's all they care about. And I literally am like, I'm not the company for you. Like, you need to go. I'll encourage them to just out the door. Like, see you later. I'm not the guy for you. If that's your major concern and that's all you care about is the lowest possible price, I'm not going to be the guy for you for a number of reasons, not the least of which is like we have a fantastic track record of taking care of people's stuff, and that comes at a cost. There's time that comes with that. So if you want me to pick something up and throw it in the back of the truck and hope for the best that it gets to your new place, it's not going to happen. And that's how you're going to get the lowest possible bill, is someone who doesn't wrap stuff correctly, doesn't put it in the truck correctly, doesn't really give a shit whether it gets there or not in one piece. And we're not that company, and most of the companies around here aren't that company either. So if that's like if you want the lowest possible cost, that comes with a cost. And I would encourage you to maybe find some guys on Craigslist or something like that. But I tell people all the time, we're not the company for you. If that's really what you need is the lowest possible cost, probably not going to be us. And I'm not ashamed of that. I actually take a lot of pride in that, actually. You really want to be selling yourself not on cost, really on value and what you're providing to the customer, I think. And just for you guys that are out there who are trying to decide how to price your services, generally, if you're on the low end of the spectrum, what happens is someone will usually be willing to undercut you. And so then it just becomes a race to the bottom. And at some point, you are literally just cutting all the profit out of your jobs. And if that's the case and you get to that point, then what the hell are we doing here? Like, what are you doing? What are you killing yourself for? Like, I'm out there moving pianos in snowstorms. I'm not doing it. I'm doing it so that I can get bomb shit, and have things that other people can't have because I'm doing stuff that other people won't do. And so if I'm not getting bomb shit, then what the hell am I doing here? I'll go work at Staples, what else? Number 9, get references. Of course, you should be vetting your company. You should be reading through every review you can find because it's going to tell you everything you need to know. That's the best indicator of success is past performance. And how you get that is obviously vetting the company. Nowadays, there's so many independent review sites that if you're finding problems, like I do when I'm on Amazon and I'm like looking for things, you just look. The first 8 reviews are going to tell you everything you need to know. If 3 of them are bad, you already get your answer. Go in a different direction. Companies are exactly the same. And generally you want to get, obviously not friends of the company if you can, because they're biased, theoretically. Ask your trusted realtor for a recommendation. For sure, great idea. I know some great realtors, very honorable people that I love doing business with, that I've gotten some great relationships with. And they're probably... one of the things that's happened to me recently is there's one woman, I actually did a job for a realtor friend of mine yesterday, literally a disposal job. And then I was on the phone with another one this morning because we're doing a job together in 2 days. And what's wound up happening is she told me the reason she wound up coming to me is because she wanted someone she could depend on first and foremost, but that wasn't the real reason why. The real reason why is because she had a company that she was working with, and the company, I don't know the exact story of what happened, but they wound up billing her for hours they weren't working, and she knew. She somehow had a record of it. It doesn't matter the specifics, but she knew that they had jacked up the bill intentionally, and so she called them on it, and they kind of hemmed and hawed and didn't have an answer. There was like literally no answer because they knew they had been caught. And that's how she wound up coming to me, because she knew that she couldn't work with these people again. She shouldn't work. Nobody should be doing that. Like, there's no excuse for that. That's a one and done. To me, that's theft. It's one and done. That to me is no different than going into someone's pocket and stealing money from them. It's theft either way, and it's inexcusable, and it's one and done. There's a one, as far as I'm concerned, one strike thing, regardless of what side you're on, whether you're a moving company or you're a customer, one and done, and you're out. Because you can't ever trust those people again, obviously. So definitely ask the realtor for recommendations. So that was my list, guys. I hope there was some information here that you found helpful, no matter what side of it you're on. The contact information for me is at the end of the video. Email address, phone number if you need to get a hold of me for any reason. I hope this was somewhat helpful for you guys. All right, thanks again, guys.